Hello everyone and welcome to my video. Today we are going to talk about some companies in the mining sector I look at to be quite undervalued at this current moment. Bear in mind, like it's written right there, this is not financial advice, this is just my opinion. But these have tremendous upside potential in the future, between like 2 to 4 years. Let's go right into it. Starting with NioCorp Development. It's fully permitted for construction start. It has the highest grade niobium development in the United States, the largest terbium resource, and the second largest dysprosium and NdPr indicated resource in the United States. And it also has an NPV pre-tax of $2.8 billion and have a 38-year mine life, so this is like amazing. So this is basically like a tier 1 deposit. Bear in mind they would need to get more financing apparently for their construction, but it seems to be that they are getting some support from the government. And now over to a company I've mentioned a couple of times before. It's Canada Nickel Corp. It's one of the largest nickel reserves on the planet, and if I remember correctly, they just had some news where they had even larger resource. Some key investors are Agnico Eagle at 10%, Samsung SDI, which is of the battery department, has 7.5%, Anglo American has 6.5%, and a native nation in Canada has 7.4%, and it has the second largest nickel reserve and the second largest resource. Apparently, according to March 2025, the company would have a 2.8 billion after-tax NPV at 17% IRR, and the government of Ontario has recognized it as like a critical minerals priority. So it's being supported by the government, which is amazing, and it's also advancing financing with like a $500 million letter of interest from like bank or like a export development in Canada. It's very interesting, and it seems like it's most likely allegedly going to start construction this year at the end of the year. So this could be like a phenomenal opportunity. And why it also piqued my interest is that during like the 70s, when the oil embargo, I think, from OPEC, bear in mind back then, according to this 50% oil market, Indonesia and the Philippines have 72% of the nickel market, so in even larger strangleholds on the resource compared to during the 70s, when 50% of the producers just like angry at America and caused, like, if I remember correctly, the oil prices to really skyrocket because of the embargo. So this is why I find this interesting, because nickel's used in batteries and so forth. But anyway, let's go to the third one. The third company is Graphite One Inc. The reason why it piqued my interest, it seems to be one of the few companies that would be able to produce graphite in North America, and it has a tremendous resource where apparently post-tax $5 billion in NPV. Obviously it's a long payback of 7 years, but it seems very interesting. And if I remember correctly, they would produce a little bit in 2028 starting, but they would apparently have a 20-year-old mine life, which is phenomenal. So this is tier 1 basically. Includes Graphite One manufacturing in Ohio, own manufacturing facility. What else? Oh, and it also has a Fast 41 federal permit dashboard, which fast tracks the project, which is amazing. I think this is a very interesting company. Obviously, bear in mind it's a long time. Annual production of graphite would be from like 53,000 to 170,000. But it seems like a very interesting opportunity, and bear in mind it's not currently producing. Fourth company is Resouro Strategic Metals Inc. It's very interesting because it's one of the largest titanium reserves in Brazil. Like it's tremendous, and it's also got a tremendous rare earth resource, as you can see here, like MREO, which is magnetic rare earth, and you know, like it has high grade of titanium. And according to the website, titanium has been used in defense, manufacturing, and energy storage and batteries, manufacturing, 3D printing, wearable tech, hydrogen economy, and marine applications. And the fact that this company noted that China apparently produces 1/3 of the world's titanium concentrate and provides over 70% of the United States rare earth imports. It's not currently producing, but apparently according to the website. But also bear in mind that, like, it seems very interesting. It's got rare earth and a lot of titanium. So, you know, let's go to the next one. And now we're going to talk about something that's not technically mining companies, but they are processing companies in the rare earth space. And first off, we're going to talk about Ucore Rare Earth, which has one of the most efficient separation and like processing technologies on the planet. With apparently the rapid SX technology has been able to process rare earth 3x faster than like similar plants the same size with the same product. It's phenomenal. It seems very interesting. Requires less capex to get started for like other plants in the future. The US Department of Defense is funding or assisting their construction with their facilities in Louisiana. And going with a company that I'm also very interested in at the current moment, and it had a little correction as of the last week of July, which is Cerro De Pasco resources, which is a very interesting company. They have a tremendous amount of resource, and they do have a benefit that they do not have to start a mine, but they do have to process the material. Apparently the story was like one of the largest mining companies had like been dumping a lot of material there in like a pile for like several decades, and in that pile there's like a lot of high grade silver and even gallium metal in like high tech. It's very valuable and they have a lot of it as well. So they don't really have to make a mine, and they just have to process. They do not process as the current moment of making this video, bear in mind. So it's a long term, probably 1 to 2 years before allegedly it will be the most probable that it could probably start in like 1 to 2 years, like in 2026, 2027. But it seems very interesting. I really like it. The CEO seems awesome. Apparently they would have an annual profit of $610 million when they get started. Whoa. And the fact that they don't really have that high capex, and they might be able to start in 1 to 2 years, and they have 423 million silver ounces in equivalent. Seems very interesting, and it seems to be cheap ability to process the materials. And apparently gallium, it's 53 grams per ton. Technically it's higher, almost higher grade of gallium than it's silver. Almost. The silver is like 1.6 ounces per ton. 50 grams of silver per ton, if I am not crazy. Anyway, so they have zinc, they have silver, gold, and gallium, a little bit of lead. And the average metal recovery seems to be between, at the base case, apparently according to the website, if I'm reading this correctly, average metal recovery is 40%, and with gallium to 70 at the beginning apparently. Never mind, the management has 13% and Eric's spot has 16%. And to finish the video off, I'm going to mention 3 gold companies that seem very interesting that have gold resource, starting with Falco Resources, which we can start with. Aussie Cisco Development has 16%. Quebec Investment Fund, I think, has 7.5%, and another company has 6.3, 1.3%, pardon me. They apparently have 4.8 million ounces of gold in measured and indicated, 48 million in silver, 390 million pounds of copper, and 1.8 billion pounds of zinc. Very interesting. Now, the next one. And the second one is Chesapeake Gold. It's one of the largest gold and silver deposits on the planet, where they have roughly 17 million ounces of gold and 423 million ounces of silver in measured and indicated. And in inferred, they have 2 million ounces of gold and 59 million ounces of silver in inferred. So it's one of the largest silver and gold deposits on the planet, and it also has apparently a 30 to 31 year mine life if they get started. And it seems to be well funded and having shareholders such as Eric Spot, Sun Valley and management. Let's hope it can start producing. And let's go over to the next one. And the final one on this list is Atex Resources. According to their website, this is like an inferred this is from 2023, and bear in mind they're going to update this during the second half of 2025. So this is old information, bear that in mind. But apparently in their inferred they have 15 billion pounds of copper, 9 million ounces of gold, 43 million ounces of silver, and 90,000 tons of like molybdenum. So it seems very interesting. Bear in mind that that's in inferred, and apparently they will have an updated one as of 2025. So if this is of interest, this company should be on the lookout throughout the year. I hope this has been enjoyable. Bear in mind, none of this is financial advice. Take care. Peace.